Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be doing a quick little comparison between the Axis lock and the RAM-Lok, two different brands of crossbar lock, one from Benchmade and one from Microtech. Microtech's is a lot newer, hasn't been around nearly as long as the Axis lock. The Axis lock is, I believe, celebrating its anniversary this year with the 710. I don't know, I think it's like 25 years or something maybe. So Axis lock has definitely been around for a lot longer than the RAM-Lok, but we'll kind of go through some of the bits and pieces of each. We'll start with the Axis lock. Basically what you have here is a little bar. So that's where the name crossbar lock comes from. You have this little bar that's held in by omega springs, which are springs that look like the symbol of the omega, which is kind of like the U. That's like what's on whatever that Lululemon clothes. It's kind of like that. It's like a little U shape that holds this bar in. And when you pull this bar back, just like that, you pull it back, the spring gets compressed inside and allows the bar to come back and allows the blade to kind of fall shut. And then once the blade is back into place, the crossbar will come back and hold the blade in place, so you can't shake it open. And then when you open it, it'll do the same thing. The crossbar will move forward, just like that, allow the blade to come up and basically work its way over. This lock has been around for a very long time, tested by time. It's actually one of the strongest locks. It will cause the liners inside to fail and basically break before the lock actually fails, which is really cool. Now that only really works if the crossbar lock is fully engaged on the blade. So you have some Benchmade knives that have come out over the years, like this Mini Adamas, which I think is fixed, but it's kind of hard to see on the camera here, but you'll see that the crossbar is not fully engaged on the blade, which will cause the lock to fail. But that's not really a testament to the lock. That's more about the design of the knife than the lock. So the lock is very strong, works very well, and it's small enough to where you can fit it and work it into lots of different designs, patterns, super lightweight knives, all kinds of stuff that works really well. And they just have redesigned it now so that there are different springs versus the Omega spring that are in these. So I'm curious to see where the innovation towards this Axis lock will go over the years with Benchmade. But again, they've got some great designs that they've fitted into, some real small, real large that work very well, that are strong, and the lock itself is fantastic. So we'll move on here to the RAM-Lok by Microtech, which is actually new, I believe, as of last year. Basically, you have this little coil spring in here that will push this big piece of steel onto the blade to kind of engage the lock. So similar to the crossbar, you have this thing that's over the blade that's not letting it to fall back. So once I open it, the blade will disengage from its resting position and fall shut. You have the Microtech kind of like X button on here, like they've got on some of the Ultratechs. That's their classic look. And it does work very well, I will say. So Spyderco also has like their ball bearing lock, I think is what they call it. But it's the same similar design with a coil spring, and it's kind of pushing this thing into place. However, with the RAM-Lok, in my opinion, in my experience, you have a lot more longevity of the locking mechanism than you do with the Axis lock. I've flick these open about 1 million times trying to see what would get this to fail, but you're never probably going to break. Well, now that I say that, I'm probably going to break it, but you're probably never going to break that coil spring inside. It's probably going to be something else that will fail before that coil spring goes, whether it's the liners or other stuff that will cause it to fail. Now, there was a lot of controversy surrounding the RAM-Lok when it was released, because people would take their knife and they'd beat it on the surface trying to get it to fail. And when the RAM-Lok originally came out, it was a little fatter and it didn't engage on the blade as much, and that would cause it, so a hard strike would cause the lock to slip out of place and fail. So it appears they have improved that. I mean, I've taken this thing out and beat it on trees and on desks and on wood and on all kinds of stuff to try to get it to fail. I've not got it to fail yet. And really, when you're actually using a knife, you're probably never gonna, be spiking the spine of it. So you're, Whether that test actually really matters, who knows? But it does actually matter, if you're pushing on the blade and it were to come disengaged and cut your hand, and that would not be a good day for your finger. So it is nice to know that, even if you do hit it on something or if you're pushing real hard, it's probably not going to fail on you at this point. So it seems that they've fixed those issues, which is great. Now the RAM-Lok, because it's such a big piece of steel, it seems like it's going to be, a couple months, years before we ever get it fit into designs as small as like the bug out or mini bug out, where they have a crossbar lock that's real small. You can just see, if I hold it over, you can see the RAM-Lok through the other design. So might be a little trickier for Microtech to get this design into smaller knives. I'm hoping that they release some mini versions of their knives. I love the versions of their knives that they've got out now, but it would be nice to have a smaller MSI. Or my absolute favorite knife of all time is the Amphibian, but it is just gigantic and it can be heavy to carry sometimes. To have a mini version would be awesome, but we'll see. So kind of those are the big differences with the RAM-Lok. It's really just that spring, and you're going to have probably a lot easier time over years, where this coil spring will hold up a lot better than these Omega springs, just due to the nature of how it's designed. And Omega springs are very thin and they're kind of fragile, so if you get dirt in there, they're more likely to wear and break, versus this big spring in here. It's only a single spring, and it's holding back that metal. So that's really the main comparison between the two. Now, originally when the RAM-Lok came out, it was a debate between whether it was as strong as Axis Lock, and I think they've worked out the kinks enough to where you'll be able to say that it really is. But only time will tell. This is only 1 year versus 20 plus years of innovation and tweaking to get things right. So we'll have to see over time. But that's kind of the main differences between the two. If you have other thoughts on either the RAM-Lok or the Axis Lock, please feel free to let me know below. Let me know what I'm missing. Any other points that I should be considering. This is kind of supposed to be more of a brief thing, so just please feel free to bring up a discussion. I'd love to talk about it with you. So hopefully that wraps it up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate the support, and make sure you are staying tuned for upcoming videos. Thank you.